right. Let's get into it. Where do we begin here? I guess the Cumia clip is probably the best place to start, right? This is the first thing I saw, which was nuts. To be like, literally, I left Dabbleverse Live on Thursday, and I was like, probably nothing's going to happen, right? You know, like it's not going to be. I didn't think it was going to be that big a deal. I really thought John would do his material, and it would go exactly as we thought. And people would cheer, and I thought it would be fine. And then it would be like, you know what? John's not so bad. Like I genuinely thought there was a chance that was the takeaway. I didn't realize, of all people, John had other ideas in mind. He said, let's not make this go as smoothly. But it started. Go ahead.
If there's a decision to be made, John will make the wrong one. So we all should have known that this was going to happen, but I had no idea either. I'm with you. I thought he was just going to get up there, do his comedy routine. I thought people were going to cheer for him. I thought everybody was going to be saying "Skol" together. Yeah. That was how the room felt before he started doing whatever malarkey he ended up doing.
Yeah, so tell me, I guess before we get into the clips, tell me what the environment was like. You went down with Carl. Vince told us all about that.
Oh, yes, of course. Just Carl.
Yeah.
Of course. No, we also had actually Raper Butt, one of our amazing commenters, and somebody who does a lot of production for Lucy Does Dabbleverse. He also came down, and so we were all hanging out. The environment in the room was excitement. I really feel like most people who were there wanted to see John do well. And the craziest events, of course, we're going to watch the Anthony Cumia clip, but that really was how the night kind of started out. You know, we didn't know what John was going to be doing yet. There was a lot of mediocre comedy at best before John went on stage. And, all the stars were there. Ray DeVito. It was truly wonderful. Yeah. It was an electric experience. The room was jam-packed. That club is very, very small. And the bar area is even smaller than the actual room itself. So everybody was just kind of jammed in there, getting drinks and getting excited because literally any way that you turned, left or right, you saw people that you knew, you saw people that you recognized. It was happy. It was happy until all the booing started.
What time did doors open? Because it seemed like you guys were in there early and had access to. It seemed like bedlam. Like you could just walk into the green room and hang out with John. It seemed like anyone could go wherever they wanted.
It very much felt like that. I will say, I don't think that the club was prepared for what they got into. There was a lot of experiences where, there was supposed to be like a 2-drink minimum. And so when I first got there, I think we were able to go in at about like 7:15 or so. I don't remember exactly what time it was. The show was supposed to start at 7:30. But so I went up to the bar to get a drink. And the first thing the bartender said to me is, this does not count towards your 2-drink minimum when you're inside the club. I was like, no worries, I'll be fine. But once we were actually in the club itself, it was such bedlam that there was no ability to get a waitress in order to be able to order drinks. There was not, you couldn't do anything. Everybody was just running everywhere. Everybody was crowding around everywhere. The seating situation was awful. It was absolutely awful. It was like the movable seats. I was all the way in the back somehow, which honestly I'm kind of happy about, not in the spit zone.
This place was called Dangerfields forever, and it was Rodney Dangerfield's old club. And the guy running it had the brilliant idea. It was struggling. Like it was pretty much a dead club. And this guy that owns it now had the idea of, I know what'll fix everything. We call it Rodney's instead. Yes. So I don't know how great a businessman he is. I know that Vince the lawyer was complaining about the check drop situation, so he just left, which is kind of a shitbag move to just bounce on your bill. But he said he's going to, I don't know. It seemed like a disastrous operation, but you're right. I'm sure security was not ready for it. So were you in the room for this? We're going to play the clip from, I think Doom tweeted this out, right? Doom had a very busy couple of days.
Which Anthony clip exactly? There's a couple. Are you looking for?
The main one. The good one.
The one on the street?
Exciting one.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, so this guy, I guess this guy's a bit of an instigator. This CJ guy, he had another viral clip earlier this week with Nick Shirley. So I guess this is what he does is tries to get reactions out of people. So this is him confronting Anthony Cumia outside of Rodney's.
Step on my mandolin. Come on, you gotta say
Look at this pedophile. Just got denied a handshake. Look at that. I thought you left the city.
Who are you?
Who's who?
Hold on a second. I like the idea of like once you move out of New York, you're never supposed to come back.
Never get back here.
I
also like that in the middle of all of this, you just hear KB yelling at Karl about his mandolin.
That's good. I heard, was Karl yelling like racial epithets at Kevin Brennan or something? I heard Karl was having a weekend. He went nuts, it sounded like.
I did not hear that, but I believe it. It seems legit.
Okay. All right, good. Yeah, there's a lot more about Karl I want to talk about because John made some accusations as well. So I'm very curious about Karl's weekend. So we'll go over that. But yeah, boy, Kevin really has all the zingers lined up. Did he ask Karl to take a nap as well? That's topical.
Whoa. Yeah.
A transgender woman. Who are you?
Go back. We stepped on. So this guy comes prepared with like all the Reddit topics, which I would actually be curious to hear Anthony talk about that stuff. I've never heard him, and maybe he has, but I've never heard him address like the beige frequency documentary or self-cutting girl or any of that stuff that people talk about. The problem with a guy like this CJ character, the problem with someone like that is he's pretending to be, taking down a pedophile. Like, he's pretending to care about this issue. He just wants to get in someone's face, get them to react, and have a video that goes viral. So that's where the kind of shitbag element on his end comes in, where it's like, I don't know how you expected Anthony to react. Yeah, I will say there is some irony. If you look at Anthony's reaction, I think Anthony might tweet out this video with the word savages in it. But these people really jump to violence. So there is some obvious irony there and stuff. But like, I don't really blame for Anthony being like, who the fuck is it? Just some stranger walks up and calls you a pedophile and asks you about a trans person, But let's hear that again.
I don't know that I agree with this sort of gonzo journalism. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I don't love it. Like I said, if Anthony were on here, I'd be interested to ask him that stuff. But you're never going to get a good answer if you're like, so are you a fucking pedophile? It's like, okay, well, we're not going to have a discussion.
Yeah, that shit sucks. Let me tell you.
I try it every week. But guys, I try it every week and it yields no results.
Dad, I thought you left the city.
Who are you?
Who's Sue Lightning?
A transgender woman. Who are you? Who are you?
Who are you? I thought you left New York, you racist piece of shit.
Who are you?
Most people aren't pedophiles and racist.
Who are you? I'm asking who you are.
I am a person that recognizes a scumbag on the streets of New York.
There you go. Get the fuck out of my face.
Everyone's been saying, were you how far away were you from this, Lucy?
Okay, so I was inside. This actually happened almost in concert with another event of the night. So I was at the bar while this was happening. And actually no, I wasn't. Where the heck was I during this? I think I was in the showroom. I was at the bar when the cops showed up. And so when we after we get through the incident, I'll get into that. So I did not see any of this happening. But look at how many people are around. Gino is cackling in the background. I want to see every single camera angle of this. I see that other people have their phones out and they're videotaping it. I think there are other camera angles. I think some of those have gotten released.
Yeah, this so everyone's been saying Anthony punched this guy. It seems like he knocked the glasses off his face, right? It wasn't like really a punch.
It looked like he took something and smashed it.
Which I guess, like I said, especially if you're Anthony and you're like, oh, these people jump to violence or whatever. Like I guess you can't really do that, or people are going to call you a hypocrite. Well, but there is a point where, like, if a stranger just comes up to you, puts a camera in your face, clearly wants a reaction, and is just calling you all these awful things, what are you going to do? Just go, yeah, I guess.
Well, there's a difference between someone calling you all those things and sticking a camera in your fucking face.
Right. And like, this guy is clearly an asshole. Like, that's the thing, is even if this guy has a point to be made, if Anthony has things to address that I don't know that he does, people, because I've heard people give Karl shit, where we get comments where people are like, why doesn't Karl ask Anthony about self-cutting girl or whatever? And it's like, well, I don't know how interested Karl is in that, but like, he's friends with the, like, maybe they should have that talk off air. Maybe it's not the place to be like, address these Reddit claims or address a documentary that a guy on YouTube made that has there's no like journalism behind it. That's my thing, where people are so certain as to what happened. I would be curious to hear Anthony address this stuff, but this is not the way to do it, really.
This is not the correct forum. And you can actually even see just in that we were just at a little pause on the video, and you can see that everybody is coming to Anthony's defense. You know, the whole crowd is now yelling at this guy. There's a guy with his finger stuck up in the cameraman's face. And what is it, CJ? I think you said his name was. I'm not actually familiar with that guy. But, you know, all these people can see that what CJ just did to Anthony was not cool.
Right. Well, my problem with this guy, the reason I know his name now is because he did this to, I guess, Nick Shirley the other day as well. Yeah. Like, it seems like just a thing he does where he's pretending to be this righteous guy who's seeking justice, you know, looking to expose these criminals, these terrible people. But really what he is, he's a scumbag that just wants views for his own self-interest. Yeah. If it was anything else that would get him views, that's what he'd be questioning Anthony on. Like,
he's a shit stirrer.
Yeah, exactly. Which, you know, people do that. Like, I guess that's the thing. But you also have to know if you're going to do that, people are going to be like, hey, get the fuck out of here and push you or maybe even react harsher. Who is the guy that's about to get in his face? Do we know who that guy is? Is that someone with Anthony or just a fan?
I don't know.
Let's play it.
See that? You're lucky I don't press charges.
Yeah, you're lucky I don't fucking stomp you.
Why would you stomp me? I didn't do anything.
Yeah, well, you being a dick is what you do.
So what? We're in New York, baby.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we are.
It's all right.
Don't forget that.
I thought it was
Thank you, buddy.
That's what happens.
What?
You get hit in the...
I feel like I should probably document this. Look at that. I got a bloody lip. Anthony Cumia punched me in the face, that pedophile sack of shit.
So, did Anthony give him a bloody lip?
It looks bloody. I don't know what caused the bloody lip. We don't get to see that part.
He looks like a paper cut. I was more concerned with his incest-looking eyes, like his parents were related.
I'm concerned with being so happy about the fact that you just got a bloody lip. If he's saying that this is such an awful, awful person, I wouldn't be laughing and going, oh, yay, it's so exciting. Anthony Cumia just gave me a bloody lip. Ha, 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 yay.
Because that's the kind of guy. Like, he wanted this reaction.
Yeah.
It's not going to work out well for his plan to press charges, though, when he's like, this is great.
Well, he was on with, I guess Kevin Brennan had him on. I listened to that. And he was saying, like, he was alluding to having talked to law enforcement or, you know, people that are going to go after Anthony now. So he didn't say anything real specific, but he alluded to the fact that he's going to try and go after Anthony for this in some way, I guess. But, like, you hear how excited he is, which, like, it's kind of just a scumbag thing. Like, if there are actual people in danger, if Anthony's a madman that's doing horrible sexual crimes to people, you shouldn't be as overjoyed that you had this interaction with him. You should be saying, someone stop this guy. He's a maniac. He's committing sexual crimes and he just assaulted me, you know? Yeah. But instead he's very excited. He's giddy.
Yeah. He's not a great look.
So that's act one of the evening. And then we have inside Kevin Brennan confronting John, and this almost comes to blows. Is that what we have next, Craig?
Sure.
All right, so let's play this where Stevie Lou is filming. Which, by the way, I can't do I can't do it justice. I don't have the proper editing skills. But can someone put together compilation of Stevie Lou filming all the American, like the Zapruder film and all that, where he just misses everything? I guess Stevie Lou missed half the stuff. Thank God Vince the lawyer was there. I will say, if we're handing out, you know, awards for the evening, Vince the lawyer did do pretty well. Like, the reason that a lot of people saw all this stuff is because of Vince's filming. So he was a big part of the night.
Yeah, he won best videographer, and Stevie Lou definitely won worst videographer.
Yeah, he had a lot of trouble. But this is one thing he did catch that was pretty interesting.
Sim Salabim. The Duke got a future. Sim Salabim. Jesus Christ. Who got a future? Sim Salabim. That picture right here. You want some of this?
I don't know if we have it, but I think at one point John says that's not the catchphrase.
Yeah. He's so proud of himself for knowing that that's not the catchphrase.
He said it again. He brought it up again on his live stream. He goes, hey, that's Johnny Carson, but Kevin Brennan's too stupid to know that. No, I think he's making fun of you for ripping off Johnny Carson with your dumb Duke of the Future bit.
He's not smart enough to understand a joke.
Simsalabim, that's not me. No,
I don't say
hello,
that.
Johnny. That's a different guy.
I understand why you would confuse us, though.
Ooh. Yeah. Want a piece of this? Yeah. All right, come on. Come on, man. Go down. He's shirtless. Can't throw your punch, man.
Nobody's throwing any punches at you.
Come on, he just said Stevie's here.
I said Stevie's here. Yeah, I'm here.
Come on, let's go.
Dude, come on.
Come on,
You
man.
said Stevie's here. I guess we should fight. Now, I have heard, I don't know this. Have Kevin and Stevie been saying they were going to fight John or something?
I did not hear any of that, but everybody, all these grown men are acting like babies all the time and saying that they're going to fight each other. So I believe it.
I don't get, that is one thing that I think makes the Dabbleverse look pretty bad. Is that they're always like, it's like, well, let's fight. And then nothing ever happens. And like, you know, it is a weird look that it always comes to this almost like, let's go outside. Let's step outside. Why? Because jokes were made about you? I don't understand this instinct.
If it wasn't for Cumia, we wouldn't have had any fighting. Come on.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the least confrontational guy. Who would have thought Anthony would be the one to actually throw a punch?
Plus, Mike, when has John ever heard something said and misinterpreted it completely?
But it's what all these people do. Like, I mean, Brendan Schaub, and at least Brendan Schaub has the right to kind of be like, hey, I'm more physically imposing than you. But like, if you're going to be a comedian, if someone makes fun, even if it's a bad joke, by the way, like if you want to say Stevie Lou and Kevin aren't funny or whatever you want to say, like that's fine. But like the idea that a joke is going to, you know, provoke physical violence out of you.
And I mean, that's John's biggest problem with the Dabbleverse in general, which is that, you know, this is all supposed to be roasting each other, right? This is supposed to be, we're supposed to be having fun, making fun of each other. And if you just throw it back in the same way that people are throwing it at you, then all of a sudden it's fun and funny and everybody's having a good time. John's reaction to any time that somebody makes a joke about him is, I'm going to punch you. And that is the exact opposite reaction that a comedian should have. A comedian should know how to take a joke as well as they can give it out. John doesn't.
Well, that is the crux of the problems in the Dabbleverse.
Yeah.
And also, what is it gonna like? Hey, John, you're a drunk, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna hit you, and it's like, oh, you're not a drunk then. Like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, then I was wrong.
I stand corrected.
You call him a drunk, and he goes, "Oh yeah," and chugs his beer, and then breaks the glass bottle and sticks it in your face.
Go.
Come on, man.
You know what you did.
Come on, let's go, bro. Throw a punch.
Why would I want to do that to you? You're embarrassing, John. Come on. I'm not trying to show.
This camera angle.
You know, a tough guy. Provoke them into legal action. Throw a punch so I can sue you.
I also am so confused by this camera angle. Stevie Lou is so incredibly tall and John is so incredibly short. How is John's face not on this video? We're just looking at John's boobies.
I think I've operated a camera better than Stevie Lou has.
People in the comments have been saying he's just filming everyone's feet all night.
No reason to go nuts like this, dude.
Come on, man.
You're not scaring nobody. It's not part of this, you know? Come on, John.
It's a stage. Alan, what's up?
Is he?
For real, kid?
I'll do it, but he's in your headliner?
No fights.
No fights, John.
Is he your headliner?
I'm in here taping everything. Come
No,
on.
we're here to make sure we're having a good time, John. We helped you get in a nice crowd here. We helped you get a good crowd here, buddy.
That ain't my catchphrase.
That's the problem.
What a tremendous problem to have with someone. You did my catchphrase wrong. John, just take a step back, lighten the fuck up, watch that clip, and try to get angry about it. Like, really? Are you going to get angry? First of all, Kevin's actually being funny, which is a rare sighting these days. Like, Kevin being funny is fewer and further between now. So, like, appreciate that Kevin is making a joke. That ain't my fucking catchphrase. Why would you possibly be mad about that?
It was like abracadabra, and John's like, but that's not it.
Maybe fucking JJ Walker could give you an attitude if you get his catchphrase wrong. Not the Duke of the Future.
He came over here and got all nasty for no reason. That's not real. It's not real.
Get my money's worth here.
Simsalabim. The Duke of the Future. Simsalabim.
You guys just keep saying it, which is a little annoying.
I think it like restarted this clip. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I think it did too.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that ain't my fucking catchphrase. So now we're back like inside. So now the action starts. And can you paint the picture here, Lucy, where like once the show begins, what I didn't realize, I thought it was just Keanu, Gino, and John. I didn't realize, I guess this was just like a showcase show where there's there was a guy doing a Rodney impression. There were a bunch of comedians on this lineup, which I didn't realize. I thought it was just a headlining show where John was supposed to do 45 to an hour, Gino does 15, and Keanu does 10 or something like that.
That was also my impression, and I wasn't entirely sure if it got padded out after John made his grand scheme or if it was always planned to have this many people in the lineup. So we had like a opener, then we had Jackie Mason's daughter did a set. Both Gino and Keanu, the Rodney Dangerfield impersonator. It was a lot of comedy, I want to say. I don't go to a lot of stand-up shows. This was easily the worst that I've been to.
Or the best.
It was the most exciting, that's for sure.
Well, so who's like, are people paying attention? Because it seemed like in Vince's video, which we're about to get to, it seemed like there's just milling about. Like everyone, like it seems like everyone's just talking, and then is there anyone paying attention to the comedy? And is there anyone there for the comedy? Is it 100% Dabbleverse people?
So that is a great question. I am very curious if anybody went there just to see John or anybody else. Like, I'm wondering if there were like Rodney's regulars that had just come out for a Friday night comedy show.
If you just showed up and were like, I'll see whatever fucking comedy show, just get out of the house, you know, it's been snowy, I'd like to get out of the house.
And those are the people I want to talk to. Those are the people, like if you were at that show and you were not there because you are part of the Dabbleverse, I want to hear what you thought about that, because we seemed like a bunch of maniacs, I am sure. But people were watching the comedy. I watched most of the acts. People were milling about a lot. I think that a lot of people were kind of getting up from their seats again because there was no wait staff that was able to come in and give drinks to people. So a lot of people were kind of having to get up and down. The rooms were separate. So there was the bar area, which was separate from the comedy area. I think a lot of people were kind of getting up and down in order to go and grab drinks, and also for the hopes of a John sighting. You know, right. and again, this really was an event where almost everybody was there. That you had every single person, maybe not every single person, Mike, you weren't there, but you know, a lot of people from the Dabbleverse were there. And so it kind of felt a little bit like a reunion. It was, everybody was seeing each other, everybody was meeting each other for the first time.
Like a Comic-Con type of thing.
Yeah. So there was definitely milling, but I think a lot of people really truly did watch the acts.
I gotta say,
at least a little.
So Vince streamed a lot of it. I saw a little of Gino's act, and I do have to say this because I've shit on the guy recently. Gino, you can tell Gino is a pro.
Yeah,
like Gino's a comedian. You can say he's not funny or whatever, but like he was definitely a pro, especially in comparison to some of the other people that took that stage. But like he knew what he was doing. He knew how to control that room a little better than I think other people did.
I agree completely. He was playing with people in the audience a little bit. He definitely had control over the room. I think for me, his biggest flaw, again, love his comedy or hate it. Personally, I hate it. But again, maybe I'm not the best judge of that. Sure. You know, his biggest flaw for me was that he went on for so long. He wouldn't shut up. And again, I don't know if John told him run long because I need extra time because I'm going to go short. I don't know what the purpose of that was. It was, yeah, I got to reread my script so that I don't fumble on all of the words. It was just so long. At one point, somebody was like, give him the light. And then I think Carl ended up holding his cell phone up to give him the light. And Gino saw that and was giggling about it a whole bunch.
Okay.
Like, that's how long he was going on. Was
to be fair, I only watched the 5 minutes of it. And I was like, he's better than I expected. And then I tapped out before it got into, I'm guessing, COVID.
Yeah. A little bit. Yeah. How did you know?
Yeah.
It's only 6 years later. It's fine.
So that's all happening, which is, by the way, a real shitbag move to the club. John is lucky. Like, here's my problem with John today. He doesn't understand how grateful he should be for everyone there. Because if the crowd isn't there and John pulls a move like that, like if it's just Anthony and the 4 other people that came with him or whatever, and it's not a sold out crowd that's buying a ton of drinks, what a tremendous shitbag move that is to the club to get up and do 10 minutes. I'm getting ahead of myself, but to get up and do 10 minutes and then leave as the headliner is a fucking wild move as a comedian, especially a guy that's been teasing his comedic chops for all these years. But I'm getting ahead of myself.
Do you look at it like the club should have controlled the audience?
Well, I heard people keep saying that. And we're going to get to some. I can't believe certain people got on stage. Like, that's pretty crazy. But control the audience. Like, I don't think any club should ever get into in the way of a crowd cheering, booing, chanting, like any of that stuff. Unless the comedian, I guess, specifically asks them to. But like security and the club manager shouldn't take it upon themselves to be like, hey, no chanting at this. It's like, well, what if that's the show?
Well, that's true, but I'm saying, like, if John cannot physically get the words out because people are screaming at him, I'm not saying it's not funny.
I don't think that's their job. I think that's the crowd's react. If they're not being violent, they're not throwing anything, I think they can react however they want.
Yeah,
Mike, also to your point, that was what the show was. The show was people's reaction to what he was doing. The thing that was entertaining during John's set was not John. It was, what is the crowd going to do next?
Well, let's get to that, because now we're getting to Vince's video where he was filming. He did a good job filming most of the evening.
Yeah.
Which one would you like? Because the next video up is cops.
Yeah. So now we go back to Anthony talking to the cops. So after the incident where he throws the guy's glasses or hits him or whatever happened, I'm sure I'll be explaining that to Carl later and not me. But whatever happened, now Anthony is talking to law enforcement, and Vince captured a little bit of that.
Yo, Cumia got arrested? Zen, stop. Yo, chill out. You got a bigger story. I know, dude, stop.
More filming of nipples.
What happened?
I have no clue.
They're claiming Cumia. So
I don't know what I No, it's okay. Yeah, he started making these accusations. Tighten his face.
What, is this for real?
Yeah, he was in my space. And
what happened?
While I
got his face.
I didn't. I don't know.
Turn the videos off.
Who's that cocksucker?
I don't know, but I like that Vince didn't listen.
Yeah.
Out here, dude. I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a joke.
Well, people always say that, not realizing that it's completely legal to fucking film.
So I'll tell you how. I'll give you a little how my evening went. I get home, and the first video I see is that Anthony video that we played, and I'm like, "What the fuck?" Crackamiko actually is the one that tweeted it out. So I'm like, "What the fuck is going on?" So I'm watching this, and then Tukey sent me the longer version of Vince's stream, and I see that they're like, "Oh, Anthony's talking to the cops." So I'm like, "Fuck!" Anthony got arrested. What I couldn't believe is what happened later. So I don't know what our next clip is, but I was stunned. I was stunned when after that Anthony's introducing the show.
Well, let me add a little bit more context to the clip that we just watched.
Yeah.
So this right before Anthony gets taken out by the cops, I am standing at the bar. I'm talking with BMC, who is an absolutely lovely chatter. We are grabbing a drink, and right next to us, Vince the lawyer and Zen are getting into a little bit of a shoving match.
I've heard
right
about
before that clip,
the
two of them. Yeah, the two of them are shoving each other. As far as I can tell, it was, you don't touch me. No, you don't touch me. It was very
very adult, very dignified.
It was quite adorable.
Yeah.
I will say, though, the video clips of that don't look quite as aggressive. When it was in person, that looked pretty aggressive. I tried to get in the middle of it for a second. I immediately gave up on that. I was like, they're going to be boys no matter what, whatever.
Yeah.
So I went back to enjoying my drink. And then as soon as I'm about to order a drink, two cops walk up to the bartender and go, hey, we're looking for somebody about an assault. And I was like, oh my God, they're about to take Cumia out of here.
Yeah.
And very quickly after that, Cumia gets walked out by the cops. And that's where we picked up that clip. And so I didn't go outside. Most of the room kind of tried to filter out towards the outdoors to be able to see what was happening with Cumia, because obviously that was a big story. So in the beginning of that clip, you could hear Zen and Vince going back and forth with each other a little bit. And, Vince saying, Zen, just leave me alone right now. I got to go look at this because this is a way bigger story.
Yeah. Do we know, is the Zen Vince thing worth talking about? I don't know what happened, but
as far as I can tell, again, it was like this little teeny tiny shoving match that appeared to just be don't touch me. I think it was just, I don't like you and you're not somebody whose hand I'm ever going to shake.
Okay.
Don't be near me.
That's all it seemed. There were a lot of missed handshakes, which is a room that's usually my role if I'm there. But there seemed to be a lot of missed handshakes this weekend.
You have an excuse though.
Yeah. All right, so let's get to Anthony. This became Anthony's weekend, really. Like it was about John, but it was Anthony's thing because let's not forget, I know John is very pissed off at Anthony. Anthony made this event happen. Like there were the number I keep hearing. I don't know how people know this exactly, but supposedly there were 16 tickets sold, and Cumia was like, "Well, I'm one of them," and Poker Mike and all these other people, and he's like, "We bought tickets and we're going, and we're gonna have a great time. Other people in the Dabbleverse should come as well." So people started catching wind of that. Kevin's like, "I'm gonna go." Carl's like, "I'm gonna go." All these people start showing up. And it became an event, and it seemed like a madhouse, and the kind of environment a comedian would love to thrive in. So the idea that John is hostile towards Anthony for this evening seems totally backwards to me. But then Anthony really becomes the star because, like I said, I'm watching this thinking, I need an update on Anthony Cumia's arrest situation. And then this happens.
Show going,
ladies and gentlemen.
Now I'm like, oh wait, John and Anthony made up.
Yeah.
Because how do you know any of this, Lucy? How does Anthony get on stage to introduce John?
That is a great question. I do not know how this actually happened. I suspect that it was just the crowd was suggesting it happened, and the club didn't know how to control it not happening. But that's complete speculation. That's complete speculation.
I guess Anthony is the most known person there, more or less. So maybe they're just like, oh, it's supposed to be like this. You know what I mean? Because we forget that club owners and managers and bouncers, like, they don't know the Dabbleverse or whatever. They're just like, oh, that guy's supposed to be up there. He's a famous radio podcaster.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. And I mean, again, what a weird way to start a set. All of this was again, there were so many predictions that nothing was going to happen, that John was just going to go up there. He was going to do his comedy. We were either going to love it or hate it. There was going to be some little bits of mockery. Instead, we got this pure and utter chaos. And it started with this. I mean, it didn't even start with this. We already saw the things that it started with, but this is insane.
So by the way, when Anthony's on stage, everyone knows what happened, right? They saw the cops come and everybody in the room.
That news traveled across the room faster than fire. It was people knew about it before it was even over.
So I got to say, Anthony gets up on stage and I think gives John a great intro.
Yeah.
Like if John is going to come up to a room of Dabbleverse people, I don't know if you're going to get a better intro than what Anthony gives him here.
Come down to Rodney's. What a great night. So many people came out. You know, when I first mentioned this,
Hold on.
they have sold in the tens of tickets. And when I started talking about it on the show and the whole Dabbleverse thing, you may have heard of the Dabbleverse. And I knew Stuttering John Melendez was going to headline this club. I knew I had to be here. I don't think there's ever been an occasion where there was an entire crowd of people that literally despise the comedian that's coming up. Let him do his act. Ladies and gentlemen, Stuttering John Melendez.
Here he comes, Eric.
They actually seem pumped to see him.
Yeah, so in Sheet Shitterson's part 3 of his documentary, I expected that to be the scene and then cut to like Karl and John sitting next to each other. And that's when we really buried the hatchet, you know? Like I really thought, oh, this is the end of the Dabbleverse. Now, like they're excited to see John. He's going to get up and he goes, how do you jerk off? And people are going to cheer for the squeegee bit. And he'll do his Fruit Loops bit and all that. I really thought.
Are you guys fucking?
Yeah.
This moment in the room was so much excitement and anticipation. I mean, you could feel the entire room was electric. And I really do think everybody was rooting for John in this moment. And like you said, having Cumia give him that great intro, I think you could kind of see it. The host tried to give him a second intro after Cumia was done. You can't really hear it because the crowd is yelling so much. I have no idea why the host thought that was an appropriate thing to do. Like Cumia says,
I have an idea.
John.
Yeah,
it was Clay Dabbler.
Yeah.
I believe I know why. So I didn't know that happened because I didn't hear that in the video. So my assumption is John was like, I'm not going to take the mic from that asshole. You know what I mean? Like I assumed John wasn't going to come out after Anthony. Someone else probably had to.
He took the mic. I agree with that, and you are correct. That guess is exactly correct. Yeah. The host takes the mic, but then the host is trying to say things. You don't need to say things at that point.
No, but I think John give me a proper intro. Get up there.
I don't know. I don't know. This crowd at this point, again, people are cheering and happy. People are like, we want to see the squeegee bit. We want to see all of the things that we know and we love, or we want to get roasted, or we want to see something new, or nobody has any idea what he is about to do.
So I've heard Ava say this. We don't have any of Ava's response today because I didn't feel it was necessary. It's just like pumping John's tires, basically. But I did hear her say like, the people, sure, they were cheering for John, but they were mocking cheers. And my answer to that is, who gives a fuck? Like, people were having a good time. Who cares why you like someone? What I always say, like, John gets so mad about the people in the Dabbleverse. And whether they know it or not, they are fans of John. It just depends on how you're using that term. Do they love him? Do they worship him? No, probably not. But, like, you look forward to watching content from or about him. You know what I mean? So like in a weird, twisted way, it might not be exactly how you want it, but like we are all fans of John in some backwards kind of way. So why does it matter how we enjoy the content? If we're cheering, who gives a fuck?
This is the epitome of him not leaning into the Dabbleverse.
Right.
Yes.
It's the epitome of him saying, I don't want you to be a fan of mine if you don't love me. It's not even just you don't like me. And again, I really, truly believe that the room at this point, I'm sure that there were some people who wanted to watch him fail, but I really, truly believe that the room at this point wanted to watch him succeed and wanted to have a good night of comedy. Maybe not the best comedy ever, but we all wanted to laugh along with him. You know, it wasn't a room full of haters in this moment.
as Craig said, it seemed like a room that was ready to go nuts. If John walked out and said "skull," and then asked someone if they were, hey, did that shirt come with a cock or whatever the fuck he does, the place would have gone bananas. Would it have been sarcastic? Yeah, it wouldn't have been the same cheers that Shane Gillis gets. If you want that, John, you're not gonna fill fucking Lincoln Financial Stadium and get people who love and respect you.
But it would have been what that crowd wanted.
Exactly. Yes. Now, I guess the argument is John just hates these people, so he doesn't want to give them a good show, and boy, didn't he, as we're about to find out.
Drinks? Last
No filming.
No filming. Yeah, sorry, buddy. We're well past that.
Yeah. He's just sitting up there with fucking paper. And he's headlining. I hate this so much.
Like Lenny Bruce. John said, Lenny Bruce's best moment was the court transcripts. Let me try and duplicate that.
I really didn't even know at this point. I really didn't even know what he was going to do. I was like, "Oh, he's so bad at comedy. He has to have notes." Like, I really, truly, this was the last thing I would have predicted.
He's not off book yet.
Yeah.
Well, can I tell you this? Here's a defense I'll give of John. Given what transpired in the night, now he had planned this no matter what happened, but given what had gone down that night with Anthony talking to the cops and that video coming out and everything, John getting up and reading Anthony Cumia's arrest record for like a minute, that's pretty funny. You know what I mean? Like, that's something.
Especially right after he introduces you. Right.
Like, if Anthony introduces you and he just talked to the cop, him coming out and going, saying something about Danny Brand or whatever, if you don't find it funny, fine. But it's something, like, that's something. If you do it for a minute.
Yeah, he stuck to his bit. I will be honest, I thought that when he was done reading the arrest record that we were going to get more of a show. I didn't think that it was possible that this could be it.
I'm shocked that this was the show. So let's hear it.
Last
call. Hold on. I can't get past the wait staff. Last call. What time was it when John got on?
How do you work
early?
How do you work in a comedy club and scream last call during the set?
During the headliner.
Yeah, right. With the headline, the second the headliner gets on, you're yelling, "No filming, last call." Jesus Christ.
11 a.m. on Saturday, December 19th.
Get him, Duke!
This is very funny in this because Vince oscillates between rooting and booing John.
An emergency call regarding a domestic disturbance.
Come on! Come on, dude! Squeegee! 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 Squeegee!
If he says, "All right, here's how I jerk off," the place goes fucking bananas.
Everybody would have loved him.
I've heard people argue this over the last couple days. You can't tell me in that exact moment if he breaks into the squeegee bit that tears the house down.
Yeah.
People would have lost their mind if he had done that as the opener and had any different closer.
Yeah,
it would have been miraculous. This room would have loved him.
I've been to a show like this. It was called Dat Fan and Friends. And
so sad I missed it.
It might be the most fun. Well, you were also there, Craig. We saw Brendan Schaub. You were there for that one, right?
That I was there for.
And like,
R.I.P. John.
Those are two of the most fun comedy club experiences I've had. Were we there because we loved and respected the comedian? That's up for debate. Tom Myers, yes. Brendan Schaub, not necessarily. But like, who cares why we're there? We had a fucking blast. We didn't get in the way of the show. It was like it was a great time. So this need to be respected for the right reasons, I think, is what really gets in John's way.
The motto of my Mike project has been observe and report.
That's right. That's right.
I would also say, this is the exact same problem. What he did at Rodney's is the exact same problem that he has on his podcast, which is that he's tailoring to the haters instead of tailoring to the fans. He chose to use this incredibly electric room that could have fallen so in love with him and had completely changed his story arc to target one man, to make it even more about one man. And not only that, but to make it more about one man who has already addressed all of the things in this police report like a bajillion times. So it's not even like a gotcha moment. He didn't even do a gotcha moment. He made his entire act about hating on one person instead of embracing the love that he could have had. Or maybe not even love, but just, not extreme hatred.
And for anyone that doesn't know, I guess, Anthony was arrested on a domestic violence charge like 10 years ago. I think it was 2015 or 16.
Yep, I think so too.
So Anthony got arrested. He ended up basically having to go to rehab for his drinking, and I don't know if he was on probation for a time.
Artie Lang's rehab.
That's right. The rehab that Artie Lang recommended. Anthony talked about it on his show, and I've heard people say, well, "Why does that matter that he talked about it? You can't bring it up anymore." Go ahead and bring it up. The thing is, you're right, Lou. This was not a got you moment. Everyone who thinks whatever they think about Anthony already thinks that. This didn't open anyone's mind up to go, oh my God, he got in an incident with Danny Brand 10 years ago. Like, everyone knows that and thinks one way or the other about it. They think Anthony's a piece of shit, or they don't really care. They think it was overblown and they don't care about it. Like, this didn't change anyone's mind or open anyone's eyes to, oh my God, I loved Anthony, but now I know he's a scumbag. The way like John is doing. Yeah.
Especially in this crowd, at least half of this crowd was there because Anthony said he was going. Anthony was the first person to really make this an event. So of all the crowds that John possibly could have turned and gotten to say, wow, I really hate that Anthony now, this was not the crowd.
No, and the other problem that John faces is he misdiagnosed the booze. I think we have him talking a little about, oh, your boos sound like cheers to me. I don't care. The problem is John thinks it's like, oh, I've triggered you so badly that you're booing me. It was what I believe the boos were, and you might know better than me being in the room, Lucy. It was, oh, he's doing this. Fucking boo. Do something.
Yeah. He got cheers.
Yeah.
When he got on stage, people were cheering and excited and happy to see him going on the stage. As soon as he started doing this, nobody could believe it. It was the atmosphere of the room completely changed over within 1 second. It was, we're on board and we're excited and we're anticipating this orgasmic experience that we're all about to have. And then it was like, oh no, you were edging me and now you're trying to troll me in the worst and dumbest way possible.
Yeah, and him reading, he's covering his face completely with the paper. Like, it's just a mess.
All right, let's keep going.
Officers arriving at the in your brain. The investigation detailed the brutal sequence of events during a heated verbal argument.
Come on, tell us the truth, dude.
Stopped on her head.
The other thing I don't really understand about this bit, it's like, let's say it is a got you moment. Like, oh, okay, he got Anthony. All these other people he hates are in the room. Carl, Kevin, especially. Like, why was he so fixated on Anthony, the guy who got all these people there?
It's very bizarre. And again, if he had pivoted and decided to do this after Anthony had the incident with the cops, I agree with you. That would have been kind of funny.
Yeah.
He didn't. He keeps saying, I had been planning this all along. I had been planning this all along. Right. It's not funny. And again, why would you ever tailor every single thing to one human in a crowd full of 150 plus humans.
That's the thing I forgot until you said that, is like weeks ago, I'm pretty sure I heard John say like, oh, if they all go to the show, maybe I'll just get up and read Anthony's arrest record. Like he said that weeks ago. And I remember hearing it and being like, well, that'd be pretty fucking stupid.
Yeah, I didn't give that any steam.
Yeah, it wasn't this nugget of an idea where we're like, oh my God, that'd be crazy if he did that. Couldn't you imagine?
Yeah, so both John and Ava are giving Ava credit for this wonderful idea that they all think was a total win.
We'll get there. We have clips of John from yesterday as well, so we'll get there.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Also, Anthony getting all those people there. If this is like every other comedy club, this place was sold out. John probably got a fucking bonus because of it.
Well, that's the other weird thing. Again, I don't know that he was like a real headliner. It seemed like he was just on a lineup. Because I think even like the club owner was like, well, I hope he's not just flying up here for this gig. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he was booked as like the headline. I think it was just like he got on a show that Gino and Keanu were also doing.
I don't know if
Come on, dude! Mr. Cumia pursued her, physically carried her back to
Vince is hilarious.
So the crowd is like, we don't give a fuck about. Okay, let's put ourselves in John's shoes. Anthony's this criminal madman that hasn't been stopped. Okay, it's not having that impact on the room. Let's move on and do so. Now start giving it to Carl and Kevin and these other people.
I don't know. I actually give John a little bit of credit, a very little bit for this. If you commit to a bit, and you know, maybe you guys can correct me a little bit if I'm wrong here, but if you say I'm going to do this at my show and it's bombing and you commit to it, I think that's like at least a little bit commendable.
Sure.
I don't agree with what his choice was. I think that he's an idiot for doing what he did, but he committed. He said, I'm going to do this thing. And then he committed to doing it.
When you first do a bit and it bombs and you keep trying and it's still bombing, that's when you got to punch out.
It's not easy. If we're going to give him credit for something, I do not think it's easy to stand up there in this environment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like to stay up there, even if it's only for 10 minutes, which spoiler alert, it will be. But like to stand up there for 10 minutes when everyone's booing the shit out of you and wants you to do something else, that does take a level of it. Balls feels like the wrong word. It takes something though. Something that I don't have for sure. Like
probably
I don't think
a level of beers.
I couldn't do that. I don't think.
Someone who's not self-aware.
Yeah.
Sure, maybe.
But like, look how he's reading to the crowd right now. You cannot see his head at all. It's just paper.
Are you guys not hearing these charges? This is grim stuff.
He bit someone.
The medical examination knowing that Brand suffered a fractured wrist, a swollen arm, and acute chest pain. In a live stream Periscope video captured in the immediate aftermath.
I'm hearing people say sit down. Is it up to Rodney's to be like, hey, take your seat? You can stand if you want, right? I guess not if you're in other people's way, maybe.
Yeah, no, the club should be kind of controlling that, but this is the whole place, which is rare. It's usually like a person.
Yeah,
I think that no control. There was absolutely no control.
That again goes back to them not knowing what the fuck this is, and they're like, why are all these people against this man? You know, like it takes you by surprise if you're not used to dealing with that.
Bruises and claim her hand.
That loser had a heart attack.
He's reading his medical diagnosis.
His heart gave up on him.
I pass.
Even his heart gave up on him.
But that, like, stuff like that might have been funny if it was observations John has. Like, every once in a while, read one of the charges against Anthony and then make a joke about it or something. But it wasn't that. And this is where, like, now if I'm the club owner, I'm genuinely, if you're paying a guy to do comedy and the crowd is obviously booing, even if you don't know what's going on, you know they're booing, you know they're pissed. And this guy is just reading, I keep saying a court transcript, I'm sorry. It's like a printout of an article summary that was written on Anthony's arrest.
His script.
Yeah, his script, the pockumentary, I believe he called it. So yeah, like,
I have a question for Lucy, actually. I'm seeing a lot in the chat that this was supposed to be over by 9 and he went on after 9.
Oh, that's
I don't know about that.
I've heard that. I've heard the same thing. I guess I don't know that it's true. I've just heard it.
Yeah, so that could mean why he was so short, I guess.
And why it was already last call the second he got on stage.
Yeah.
Stop giving him excuses. No,
I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying I would have used my 10 minutes,
that's John's. If you're the headliner and everyone else, every other comic goes on for 2 hours or whatever the fuck it was.
So I did have a couple of conversations with a couple of different people, some of whom also performed at Rodney's on this same night. Ooh. And they did tell me that John had specifically asked, or had told them, it's okay if you go a little bit long. I don't want to do a very long set.
Yikes.
So he was definitely planning for this. I don't know how many people knew that he was going to be doing this. He claims that nobody knew about it except for him and Ava.
But that's, again, who flies from Florida to New York to do a set? 10 minutes, or if it was supposed to be 20 minutes or whatever it was. No comedian does that. To be like, oh, yeah, I'll just do spots in New York City. I'll fly in.
I'm a working comic. Yeah, John. I got an idea. Why don't you read the fucking transcript? Thanks, Alba.
I don't want to get ahead of myself because we have John talking about the plotting for all this.
But this is a disaster, is what this one is.
I mean, it just seemed like fucking bedlam at this point. Now he's lost the room entirely.
Mr. Cumia publicly admitted on the show to biting the victim's head, stating he was pissed and out of his mind. Good one. While the legal resolution of the case in June 2016 saw Mr. Cumia plead guilty to reduce misdemeanor charges and criminal obstruction of breathing.
The crowd is killing. They yelled stuff like, has your daughter ever queefed in your face, or your son, whatever the fucking joke is. All kinds of fun stuff.
There's a few things funnier than a classic boo like that.
Vince is booing in particular because Vince will then change to chanting Duke, 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 Duke.
The chants were the best part of the night. There were so many good chants.
Yeah, well, so here's that's a fun part about Skankfest. Like the crowd gets very into it and chants and stuff. But the big difference is there's entertainment around inspiring some of those chants. This is an audience that's like, I guess we have to make some fun for ourselves. Let's just chant Anthony or something to get some excitement in the room. I think that was Anthony, right?
Yeah.
I can't hear what they're saying.
Mr. Cumia formally admitted the elements.
I have no idea.
I know one of them was, I think that early on, I couldn't tell what that one was. It didn't really sound like this, but one of the early on chants was "Do your set."
Yeah.
That one sounded like maybe Anthony Cumia. I know there were a couple of different times Anthony Cumia gets chanted at the end. Also, that one might have been Anthony Cumia. Also,
yeah.
Was that the Oscar? I'm seeing somebody in the chat saying that was the Oscar Turner one. The Oscar Turner was also early on in the set.
That's fun.
There were a lot of good ones. Deadbeat Dad.
John's problem is people like Ava are gonna be like, "Yeah, you did so great." Like,
I know it's such a disservice to him. Because then it's like he's always right. Then he never has any reason to reflect on his choices. You know what I mean? And this is the real proof. When we get to the clips of John talking about how the night went, that's the real proof of how misguided we all are. Because I've had this thought many times, and I would almost guarantee it's the reason Adam Bush would want to go on John's show, or Cardiff has wanted to go on John's show, or when Karl and Shuley did the shows with John, or any of that. The reason you want to talk to John is because deep down, whether people admit it or not, because I've had this thought as well, deep down there's some inkling of like, I got it. I will figure out what to say to him to make him realize what an asshole he's been behaving like. You know? Like there is a little ego, or whatever you want to call it, where you're like, no one's explained it right to him. I got this. To watch John after a night like this that we're watching, and then go on yesterday and go, well, another successful evening. You're like, okay, this should be the end. It won't be. I'm not going to make any proclamations. I'll probably be talking about him again in a week or on Thursday. But this should be the end, where we're just like, all right, this was it. We tried to get a moment out of John, and there's just nothing there. There's nothing to be mined from this.
So you mean to tell me that no one was there like, oh my God, that's the voiceover guy from the Tonight Show?
Not a single person.
Our generation's Ed McMahon.
Bim Salabim.
That's what he always says.
That would be great if outside he was record. Hey, you're the Bim Salabim guy.
He's like, fuck you, get it right.
I hope that everybody goes to I hope that everybody who goes to his upcoming shows is saying that to him. That's what I want.
I don't have a report on last night. I know. Well, I do from John. He said it went fantastically,
swimmingly.
But, yeah. Did anyone hear how last night went?
I have been trying to get an idea for how big the crowd was. It obviously was not as big as this, but I'm curious about how many tickets were sold. I heard that he just did his normal set and everything was quote unquote normal. There are very few reports on it though, which makes me think that maybe it didn't do so well ticket wise.
You're underselling it a bit. John said he killed, and everyone.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot about that part.
It wasn't, hey, Chuckle Hut. Yeah, my tummy hurts. I can't go tonight.
I'll say this too for John, and this again speaks to just there's never anything getting in. I heard Shuley say, I think John's going to take a break after that. Like I think we're not going to hear from John for a while. John just comes back on the next day, plows ahead. What a great evening. What a tremendous job I did. And that's again where I'm like, oh, okay, there's never going to be a change. There's never going to be a moment of reckoning where he's like, oh my God, I've behaved so poorly over the years.
And shout out Doom for having all these clips.
Shout out for Doom. Stalin 19 had some. I don't know who else. Pest, I'm sure. Shout out to all the clippers. I don't know how to get a hold of all of them, but I did message Doom and say, you've done quite a service, because none of this stuff stays up, so we do kind of need them.
Let him trial.
Oh, the article.
And the more severe penalty.
I think Vince goes, oh, the article. We're back.
That makes sense.
How does John fall for his shit? I don't get it.
It's staggering.
Original felony charges, which included second-degree strangulation.
You got people cheering strangulation, John. Congratulations.
You know what? This rap sheet is quite long.
Yeah, how did he have this much to read?
I don't know. Oh, he's reading the description, like the court, what they said. It wasn't.
I said that earlier. I said it's not like a court transcript. It's just an article written about it. But even that, I can't think of an article. I followed it at the time. I can't think of an article that was 10 minutes long.
This article comes out and he was like, I was born to read this on stage.
It's just occurring to me that this legal genius of Stuttering John was not smart enough to actually find the court transcripts. He had to get the, Yahoo News article.
Yeah, right. Well, this I'm guessing what happened is it's like when a great director finds a book where they're like, oh my God, I can see the movie. It's right there in front. When John read this article, he's like, this is perfect for stage.
All conditional discharge requiring 6 months. Hold on.
Like, he's like, wait, you guys are gonna love this next one.
I think on some level he believes, he's like, no, you're not understanding. I'm reading Anthony's. Are you guys not getting this? I'm reading about his arrest, and we were all gonna go, oh shit, I'm sorry, John, quiet down.
And alcohol treatment is off the view.
Maybe you should do that, John.
I've never had to go to alcohol treatment. I treat my alcohol just fine.
I just go live in my mom's guest room.
I pay attention to my alcohol every day.
I don't like that.
I would have loved for John at some point to try to start a chant.
I mean, people would have loved to chant Skull or Lady K or Pinky or any of that shit.
People would have gotten so into that. Again, he could have won the room over. He didn't.
This is the thing that John does, where he's always like, oh, but you people just worship Lady K. You worship the shit. People would have been so excited to call Carl gay in that moment.
I like Carl a lot. Calling him gay is so fun.
If John asked the room, hey guys, how gay is Carl? It would have shattered. The place would have fallen down.
How much poop has Carl eaten today? Everybody would have loved it.
Yeah.
He did sell tens of tickets.
He sure did.
Next, we have Do Your Act.
Oh, this is one of the many chants that Lucy was talking about.
Hey, everybody shut up. I'm cheating.
Criminal harassment. Violation upon police sworn admission of guilt to the initial assault remains a factual matter. Public and legal record.
Do your act.
John has never heard that request in his life. This was his moment.
Yeah.
Club owners don't say, John, we'd love you to come here and do your act. This is the first time people have said, please, John, do your act. Let me hear about the Kardashians, please.
Well, when you've hit rock bottom, life has a way of showing you that you haven't yet.
Do your act. 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 Keep reading.
Calling is time.
Oh,
Exhausting.
that's the perfect word for it.
Someone saying to Vince, go save him.
When you said exhausting, that was the exact word that was on my mind. Where it's like there kept being these moments, whether it was a chant or there were constantly moments where you were like, all right, this is where he's going to change things. This is where now he's going to go into the comedy, and you just kept realizing, like, oh, he's just going to keep reading the fucking article. God damn it.
Next, we have the closer.
Oh, good.
Of course.
So let's hear the big closer that John has here, and this became the talk of the night.
off the ship.
Is that the moment, I'm assuming?
Yeah, who is that?
So that's Tommy Jordan, who people give him a lot of shit for this. I have mixed emotions. Well, let me ask you, Lucy. How did you feel being there? How did you feel when Tommy Jordan went on and ripped up John's papers?
My number one thing is this is a major safety issue. So we've already talked about the fact that John is in a room of people who really, really dislike him. This is a situation that nobody should just be able to run up on stage. Like, right. I would be nervous if I were John in this moment. You really don't know how crazy people are going to be.
For sure.
I am happy that this happened, but I'm not happy that somebody can just run up on a stage. John shouldn't have done this. It is dumb to run on a stage. So Tommy Jordan, maybe not the best choice, but boy, oh boy, is it a moment. And I think everybody in the room wanted those papers torn up.
Yeah. So I think we're kind of in the same place where I'm like, yes, if I'm John, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I wouldn't like that. And there is, whether Tommy meant it or not, there's some level of physical intimidation. So I guess like that's where it does cross a line. But if you're talking about what he actually did, that is the absolute funniest
Yes.
He did not cross a line as far as getting in John's face, threatening him physically, any of that bullshit. That's the absolute funniest outcome. To take his dumb papers and rip them up and say, now do something, please.
Yeah. Give us anything else. Stop relying on your bullshit. Yeah. And that was, the papers were figuratively just as bullshit. So Tommy stole that away from him and said, no, you're not allowed to do this anymore. And I love Tommy for making that choice. I just think that it is a really scary way for it to have happened, because I don't think anybody should be running up on stage. Like, if John had punched Tommy in that moment, I would not have thought that John was in the wrong.
No.
Right. So I guess if we're talking about it from that perspective, I agree with you, but we know what happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, knowing what happened, I'm looking at it being like, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and then the other thing I saw people criticizing him for was like, oh, well, John wasn't on the stage as long. You ended the show early. I don't think John was ever going to go to any other material. I mean, I guess if you wanted to hear him read Cumia's fucking charges for another 5 minutes, then maybe you would have gotten that. I don't think he was moving on to his act or anything else.
So I do think that it would have been really funny. Like, this could have been a funny moment if John had just like very quietly taken out another set of papers from his pocket, unfolded them, and continued reading. And then like Tommy tears them up again and he does it again. Like, this could have been a funny moment for John. Instead, he just gave right up and he said, well, that's the end of the show. He could have at any point during this, if he had just, at this point, it was probably too far gone. But if he had done the squeegee bit after this, maybe like some teeny tiny little bit of redemption, anything, not just focused on one guy and then have one other guy ruin the set by tearing up pieces of paper. I
think they would have booed him though and been like, you had the chance.
Yeah. Oh no, at this point it was over.
Bringing out a second piece of paper is just inherently funny. That's objectively
it's inherently funny. Especially if he did it. If he did it very like just completely deadpan, plain faced, acted like nothing happened, and just picked up exactly where he left off, that would have been funny. It would have been the unintentionally John funny that we all love, but it would have been great. I would have loved that.
He did the classic, as I was saying.
Yeah.
Now, this is the difference, though. And this is what I said about Gino earlier, where if you want to say Gino's not funny, perfectly within your rights to say that. But where I say you can tell Gino is a comedian, because like I think if that happened to Gino, something would have happened. Like Gino would have had a comeback. I'm not saying a good one necessarily, but it would have been handled like a comedian. I think any real comedian would have been able to handle that moment. Do they like those moments? No, because you're not supposed to fuck with the show. But does it kind of make for gold very often? That's why you would see crowd work clips get popular and stuff. Because when something unexpected happens, it can create gold in a comedy show. But instead, this is how John ends things.
Where's my $2
So wait, can you pause? I know it's almost over here. In that moment when he yelled "Skull," I really believe that the whole crowd, when everybody yelled "Skull" back, I really believe that everybody thought he was about to start doing a routine.
I think we all did. And
that was the opener, and now we're into the actual bit, and it ends. It very quickly turns.
Well, this is again where I think like Ava is wrong, where they were like, "Oh, that room was." They were mocking John. It's like, well, yeah.
Yes and no. Yes and no.
Yeah.
You could hear how happy people were when they just said "Skull" back to him. I mean, you could literally hear people were like, "And now we're beginning, yay!"
As Mike said earlier, people don't realize is, like him or not, everyone is there because of him, and they appreciate him to some degree.
Yes. Sure, if they're mocking him, they're still a fan. Like, they enjoy doing that. Like, is everyone there a fan for the reason you want them to be? No, there aren't people in there that are like, I think John's a genius. I think he's so funny and talented. But they watch all the shit that he does. They love people talking about him. They know, unlike Kevin Brennan, they know his catchphrases. So like, they know all the shit. And when Skull is yelled, they get excited, and you can hear it there. That's what proves like Ava's theory and John's theory wrong, that like they would have fucked with him no matter what. They were like, yes, now something we can sink our teeth into. Skull indeed, John.
Thank you.
But people, you can keep it playing, Craig. I think it's almost over. Walked up the stage here, Lucy?
Yep, he sure did.
Yeah.
Were you surprising? Were you surprised by that? Because like I would think he's doing 45 minutes.
I couldn't believe. You can see here people are kind of standing up. We're getting the Anthony chant right now, but everybody is standing up. Everybody seemed so confused. Everybody, I think, was baffled because again, as soon as he said "Skull," we thought that was the beginning.
Right.
That seemed to be the moment that the set was going to change, not that the set was going to end. And so people were like, do I put on my jacket? What's happening? I kept hearing people saying, is that it?
Yeah.
I do like that. He gets booed for 10 minutes straight and he goes, thank you. That's been my time.
Great.
Don't forget to tip your bartenders or pay your bill, whichever.
They paid 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
When I saw the length of that Doom video, I saw when John gets on stage in the video, I was like, oh, it's a shame he doesn't have all of it. That's too bad. I was like, oh no. I couldn't believe he was up there for 9 minutes or whatever the fuck it was.
But this is the reaction.
Okay, let's hear this.
Let's see what Anthony did. We're live here. Anthony, what do you think?
That was insane.
But I thought maybe it was okay.
He had a full club of people. If he felt confident in his comedy, he would have gone up there and done a set and won the crowd over. He tried doing some insane thing of reading a police report of shit that happened 10 years ago that I addressed so many times on my show. And the crowd, obviously, you saw what happened. They were laughing at him, booing him, but he kept doing it.
He knew early on he was losing.
He kept losing. He's incapable of making a crowd like this laugh.
The Ozempic was good.
He could have won this crowd over. Just doing his job. Could have done it. He refused.
Yeah, like when Anthony says like, "Oh, I addressed it so many times on my show," even if he hasn't addressed, like something we all are aware of, it's been talked about. Everyone has their heel. It's the equivalent of John getting up there and going, "Ladies and gentlemen, Greg Opie Hughes doesn't care for this man."
Yeah.
We know. Okay, so let's move on to John's reaction the next day. Right? Is that what we have?
That or Shuley.
Oh, yeah. Let's hear that. So this is Anthony's reaction to it with Shuley that night. I guess he called into Shuley's show.
Imagine
Here we go.
This was a clusterfuck of intergalactic proportions. This guy, remember when you said whatever decision he makes, it's going to be the worst one? It was worse than that.
I could.
This guy came out. I handed this idiot a full club, a sold out club. There were no seats. I had trouble finding seats. And everyone else went up, did a great job, had a lot of fun. This idiot John gets up and pulls out printed paper of my police report from 10 years ago. And he starts reading it off. The crowd despised him for it. They were yelling, chanting, boo, fuck you, do your act. And he just continued reading this. And by the way, the second he started walking toward the stage, I looked at him and went, holy shit, he is fucking hammered. He was so drunk off his ass, could barely walk up to the stage. He sat in a chair because he would have fallen down. He grabbed these sheets of paper that had the police report on it and just thought it was going to, I don't know what he thought. Did he think the audience was going to go like, yeah, fuck that Anthony guy? He started chanting my name, Julie.
First,
did you feel that was true, Lucy? Because he didn't seem, when he was reading, he didn't seem to be slurring or anything, but did he seem shit-faced?
He didn't to me, but honestly, I'm not always the best judge of that. To me, he seemed normal John drunk. He has since claimed that he had 3 beers, but then he immediately changed that to 4 beers. And I think that we all know with his drunk beer math that it's probably more than that.
Well, how many hours had it been? Because then, I don't know if you know this, they dissipate over time. So it's really like 0 beers, probably.
That's
and
true.
He does dilute them with water. So you're right. He was probably totally sober.
He might have been in negative beer territory. Based on
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But this is the last clip from the show. It's them talking about Keanu and Gino.
Yeah, so this I found a little interesting because we'll hear John reference Keanu. Apparently, and Keanu was on with him last night. So I guess there was no truth to this, but I guess John was a bit of a baby about how he handled things with Keanu being friendly with Anthony.
Any word from Keanu and Gino, because that kind of fucks them over his performance tonight.
Look, I talked to both of them. I actually, I believe me, I have an understanding that they understand what John's all about. And by the way, Keanu went downstairs into the green room or the dressing room, downstairs or in the back, whatever it was, and said John wouldn't even look at her. Again, another person that stabbed me in the back.
I mean, look, I told you this when he had to see real life, when the internet isn't in play and people are nice to the people that he hates. That's going to be a rude awakening for him. And that's exactly what he got tonight.
But then Keanu was on with him last night. Keanu's doing this weird tightrope act where like she's friends with John, but like around other people, she understands why everyone makes fun of John, but around John, she doesn't understand how anyone could make fun of it. It's this weird place to be that I do not envy, but she was on with him last night giggling and telling John how great he was and everything. So I don't know. I don't really know where.
Apparently they did have a little bit of John had a talking to with Keanu in the green room.
Oh, John admitted to this. John on his show, he spun it in a little different way, but he's like, I was pissed at Keanu for, a lot. She fraternizes with the enemy.
He can't be that mad at her, though, because he's in love with her and wants to have sex with her. So as of right now, she can probably do almost no wrong.
Correct.
He must pay her, right, to do a show?
No. They're just friends.
Then what the fuck is she doing?
I have no idea. I don't know.
It's impossible to tell.
Career-wise, I don't understand just time utilization. Like, I don't understand any of it.
Crazy. But now we can get to John's reaction.
Okay, so again, this is where I'm a fool. I kind of agreed when I heard Shuli say, like, I don't think John's going to be on for a while. I kind of agreed with that. And then I saw, John's live. And I knew the second I saw that little red circle on YouTube, I was like, he's going to take a victory lap, isn't he?
How is he going to spin it?
Sure enough.
Do you want the ones you sent or the other ones?
Just the ones I sent.
All right. This is Lady K and Vince.
This is also from Style 19?
Doom.
Sorry.
Let's not get that mixed up.
It's from Doom. Thank you, Doom.
Now, I knew that's why I brought my jacket on stage, because I knew I'm going to fucking do what I was going to do, put my jacket on, say thank you, and walk straight to the front door and get the fuck out and just love it every minute of it.
So he's like, I was going to run up there for a very short amount of time and then scurry out the back.
Did he not get paid? Did he just leave?
I don't know. Yeah, that's usually, you get paid usually after the show, right? Not money up front.
Yeah, after the show, when it's a show like this.
Yeah.
If you do like a weekend, you might get paid beforehand, but
very strange.
So when I walked in, I go to the VIP room. Not the room, the VIP section.
The VIP room.
At the end of the fucking place. And who do I see? Lady K sitting there. You would think, and he'll deny this because he'll never admit to it, that he just saw his God. Like, when I walked up,
holy fuck,
and I saw the VIP, and I didn't see it. I didn't see Lady K sitting there. And then when I saw him, I went, "Hi, John."
Lucy, true or false? I've heard Carl's flamboyant highs. Did he give one in this instance?
I heard he was.
Did he say that to you the first time you guys met?
Hi,
Mike. Hi, Blind Mike. No, I don't know what he's talking about. I don't believe that Carl had VIP tickets. So I don't know if John is misunderstanding what the VIP section was. Right. And if John is just so in love with Carl that he thinks that anywhere that Carl was the VIP section, that's a very confusing statement to me. I did not see this interaction. I'm sure that there was excitement, a little glisten in Carl's eyes, one could say. Do I think that was true love and idolization of this idiot? No, that's dumb.
This is where this is weird too. It's like what John is really saying. If you can, peel off all, he was idolizing me. There was love in his eyes. Peel all that shit away. What John is saying is, I ran into Carl and he was perfectly nice and polite.
Yeah. What a weird situation. He didn't try to fight me. He didn't try to fight me. I'm sure that Carl is going to describe this interaction. I have not heard this tale of the first time that these two guys are seeing each other across the room and falling in love. I'm sure that Carl is going to tell this today live on WATP. Yeah.
Loving you.
I will admit, I was laughing to myself listening to this, imagining Carl with action figures of all of us, and he plays as the Duke. Come here, potato, get over here. Bam, bam, bam.
Blocky.
Poor Jenny Jingles has to ask him to put his toys away before he takes a nap.
Don't step on the mandolin or my action figures.
Had love in his eyes. And this is not hyperbole. He had love in his eyes.
It's definitely not hyperbole. He had love. I could tell he's in love with me. And I'm not being hyperbolic here.
He didn't just like me. He loved me.
You guys ever seen those Looney Tunes cartoons when the hearts go everywhere?
That would have been quite a moment. A Carl proposal to John on stage.
I just said, hey. And then I walked out, and then some idiot comes over to me and puts his arm around me. Hey, and I go, hey, it's Vince the lawyer. And I said, you got my money? He said, I'll give it to you later. I go, okay, then get the fuck away from me.
Do we know, Lucy, do you know what money he's referring to?
I don't. It's the two of them got into a big kerfuffle right before all of this. Vince wasn't welcome, but of course, then the club owner said that everybody's welcome at Rodney's, so Vince still ended up going. It's impossible to tell what's going on with the two of them at any given time. Like you said, when we were listening to the clips, it's half of the time Vince is yelling "boo" and half the time he's yelling "Duke, Duke,
Right,
Duke."
right.
So I don't know.
It's the funniest thing to do.
It's true. It's true.
It's that simple. And Vince, keep in mind, not only the sharing of texts now, then you videotape the show, which is copyright infringement.
I would like
Lucy, you pretend to be a lawyer. True or false? Is that copyright infringement?
This is the craziest accusation. Okay, if John had done his comedy set and people were playing it in its entirety or live streaming it, I would say morally that's questionable. Yeah. I do agree that there are things that we should not be doing when it comes to sharing somebody's entire work of content. Mm-hmm. First of all, fair use, which John absolutely understands what that means. But second of all, you didn't do an act. You read an article from
I've copyrighted that Yahoo News article.
I was just going to say, some would say maybe he was the one that was doing the copyright infringement by reading someone else's work.
Yeah. It's completely insane that that's his reaction. That is, again, this great legal mind that we have understands things so well that it's not words coming out of your mouth that are copyrighted, but that's what he believes.
And I do want to say that as a stand-up fan and someone that loves and respects stand-up and all that, I've heard like Keanu talk about this and John and when you say like, oh, it's wrong to record someone's set, I agree with you because usually they're working on that to release on their own and it might not be ready yet or whatever. Like, but if you're John and you have the same set for 30 years and someone records you and puts it on YouTube, they probably shouldn't, but what's the difference? You know, it's not taking money from you. It's not ruining something artistically that you had planned. It's actually promoting you in a weird way because you don't promote yourself correctly.
Rosie Joe Studio, $5. I got to see John's face when he saw Carl. Worth the price of admission. Carl said, "Oh, hey."
It's like those cartoons where the hearts take over the eyes. Carl floats over to John.
Let's continue this mess.
And here's a guy supposed to know all about copyright, and he decides to have those meta glasses. And even though he was told to not tape, he still did. Crime number 2. Then he walks out on his bill.
Crime seems a bit over the top.
He's a mess.
He went against the policy of the club. That is legally actionable.
Rodney's rules are law. I've always heard that about that. That's why no one goes there anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, the day the laughter died and then this.
You're about as funny as a glass of milk.
Next we have the Duke.
Well, let's hear what the Duke is. Let's hear how the Duke feels the next day. We've watched all the video. People have mocked it. People have said it was a disaster. Let's see how the Duke feels.
So you all could say whatever you want about the Duke. But the one thing that you all witnessed is the Duke is brave. The Duke has courage.
What a fucking loser.
The Duke has what most of you guys in the pores.
He's saying he was brave. He couldn't even show his face to the crowd. He blocked it the whole fucking time.
And now I will say, like, if we're just analyzing the idea, take every other element out of it. If you just say, hey, to get up on a stand-up stage, even to a non-hostile crowd, it does take a level of balls. Like, that's very anxiety-inducing. Public speaking in general is very nerve-wracking. And then add in the fact that people are booing or heckling or chanting, whatever. It does take a level of courage. You could also say it takes a level of neediness or narcissism or whatever. But like it's all those things. And John has proven he has that. Whatever that takes, that is a skill. And John has proven he has that. Whether it's the Howard Stern interviews or stuff he's done for the Tonight Show or this, Like John does have that, which is a hurdle for a lot of people to jump. There's a lot of people that will never try. I love stand-up. I don't want to do it because that's something I'm not interested in. I don't think I have I don't think I would be capable of doing it really. So like that does take something, but so what? Like there are a lot of people that have that skill. I guess John is one of them. So what? You're patting yourself on the back for doing a bad job in front of a lot of people?
I don't think he had the confidence of going up to Ringo Starr this night, though.
Right.
He effectively turned this room into a live action YouTube podcast chat where people were effectively sending him L's loud enough that no one could hear half of the poetic reading that he was doing of Cumia's arrest report. That's not a win. People are literally throwing you L's from the crowd. It
would have been great if someone threw an actual L. Stage. Or just $5 on stage, and he goes, "All right, penis wrinkle for $5."
Tapes a note to the money.
Fucking penis wrinkled dickheads don't have.
Oh, I swear, I forgot that was in there.
That's very funny timing.
You don't have the courage, and you will never have it. Not one of you has the courage that Duke has.
I mean, okay, I guess I'll take back what I've done it.
Same.
I've been at the Wilbur. They weren't there for me, so it was a little easier than the room John was in.
Kind of sounds the same, actually.
Yeah, you know what? I guess it is. Yeah.
Here's John talking about Ant.
Okay, yeah. So let's hear his opinion on Anthony. So we heard Anthony yelling throughout that. We saw Anthony introduce John. We saw Anthony immediately after with Vince. We heard him call Shuley a little later. So let's hear John's perspective on how Anthony reacted to John menacing him.
Pocky punches somebody, allegedly. That's what I hear. The cops come, pull him out of the bar, and he's got to fill out a police report. And that guy who we hit, dude, go through with this. That is assault.
Fucking pussy.
I mean, you'd be an idiot.
This is the same guy that was threatening to beat the shit out of Stevie.
Hold on, real quick. Listen to what he said. I love this quote. Listen to why he thinks the guy should go through with it.
To not charge him. He's a multi-millionaire.
What scumbag math? Scumbag economics to be like, he's got money, you could sue him.
I knew your name. I would advise you to fucking file immediately.
Give me my cut, though, you cheap bastard.
Also, I'm giving you this advice. You owe me 10%. Sorry, Lucy, go ahead.
Also, if I knew your name, I would dox you immediately.
Seriously.
He would be arrested on
that's a good hold on. That's a good go back a little bit. That's a good point where like this guy does this to John and just walks up to him and goes, "Hey, you're you're this, you're that." All the things that people accuse John of. He walks up to him when he's filming. How aggrieved is John in this video? And then some scumbag comes up and films me without my consent, which is a crime in New York, 2-party consent state.
Holy shit. If I knew your name, I would advise you to fucking file immediately. He would be arrested on the spot, and he can't run his fucking pocky ass to South Carolina and think it's not going to happen. This is assault. There is no running away from that. You're fucked, bro. I'm great that you're fucked at a Stuttering John show.
So smarmy.
He really is. I fucking hate this guy.
I mean, the wins I experienced last night was by far more wins than any of you fucking losers could ever experience.
How are we scoring this? By far more wins. How many wins was it last night?
I don't know.
Or 2 nights ago. But isn't that incredible to watch what we watched and go, wow, what an incredible badge of honor I've stitched onto my sash.
Ever. I stood up to Pinky, stood up to Stevie Lou's the user?
I mean, stood up to them, but like couldn't have a real conversation. Again, like I'll credit John. Like, yes, he did do the tough guy act, I guess. Like he did that in person as opposed to behind a keyboard. I forget the chatter that said it earlier, but it's like we're setting a real low bar for things we're gonna congratulate him on.
Mike, he took off his kid's 6T jacket and threw it on the floor.
So you know it's go time.
Yeah.
That's a win.
And Alliance. And I had no fear.
I had no fear. I ran out as soon as it was over.
I planned an escape hatch.
What a fucking loser. I fucking hate him. I hate him so much.
Well, take it easy.
He's such a scumbag, dude. He sucks.
He's a bit of a scumbag, but you know.
Getting on stage.
What's that, Lucy?
I was going to say he is such a scumbag, but he really, I believe that he could have turned it around last night. And
he absolutely could have, but he
actively chose not to.
Yeah, well,
yes.
to Craig's point, yeah, you're right. Where it's like, if there was a moment where he was going to have some redemption and show that like he can lean into it and have fun, it's like he just completely blew. And that's where I'm like, well, this is it, right? Like, what's the next thing we're gonna do? Where there's some event and John threatens to show up, and like, are we gonna keep doing that? Because we've seen how it would play out. Everyone was there for the most part. You know, like what else? What's next? What could there possibly be?
I don't know.
This is him recounting the moments before he took the stage. This is very exciting.
So when I got upstairs, Pocky was doing his stupid rant about what a loser.
A great intro. A great intro, John. Like for a Dabbleverse event, which is what that was, John. I don't give a fuck if you acknowledge it that way or not. That was a Dabbleverse event. So for that, like, what did you think the intro was going to be? You may have heard him on the Howard Stern show and the Tonight Show.
That's exactly what he wanted.
I know.
You could imagine the smile from ear to ear the Duke had. Because I was just like, oh, this is perfect. You couldn't write this any better.
Yes, you could.
Pocky is so confident.
Try writing any of it, John.
Anything.
Try writing. You couldn't have written it any better. You didn't write anything.
You barely read.
I couldn't have read this any better.
All his peeps behind him. But he hadn't experienced Stuttering John.
Mm.
And he was about to get schooled by the best. So finally, my time to go up. I got on stage, looked around. You tell, and I kid you not, everybody was in awe of the Duke.
Lucy, we're going to need clarification again.
I actually think he's right about that one. I think everybody was in awe. Before he started doing what he was doing, there was a level of excitement and anticipation, and everybody was like, what's going to happen? That is a level of awe.
Which is, again, like if you're John and you can wrap your mind around that doesn't coincide with respect. You know what I mean?
No.
Like they're like, oh my God, there he is. There's the guy that we love watching and watch all the time. If you can wrap your head around the fact that that might be for the reason to mock you, that's still pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of awesome. Even if they all hate you or like making fun of you or whatever it is, the idea that they were all there and excited to see you do something, that's pretty cool. So yeah, like that is, I don't know. Awe feels like the wrong word to me. Like
awe is a little strong. He's like, you know, Jesus walked on water. I walked on spilled Miller High Life to get to the stage.
Karl had the hearts on his eyes the entire time, and then they started popping up around the room. Bing, 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 bing.
But again, you know, this is when he's walking onto the stage and everybody's so excited about it. If I were him and I had filled this room, I had sold out this room, again, regardless of what the reasons are that the room gets sold out, even if it's an entire room of people who completely hate me, I would take a moment and look around, and he says that he kind of did that. But I mean, I would like have to take a deep breath in. Like, this is a really big moment. He is never, ever, ever going to be in front of a crowd like this ever again for the rest of his life.
Yeah, there's not a moment in there, like just John the person. There's not a moment in there where he stops and looks around. Like you said, who cares why? Because they were there to make fun of him, or because Anthony said to do it, or whatever. To look around and look at how invested in people were in this show, whether it's at the beginning or after you read the dumb script or whatever. Now I'm calling it a script, whatever it was.
It's what it is, Mike.
but like at the beginning or the end or whenever, like to just not look around and go, hey, guys, like I know a lot or all of you are here to mock me, but thank you for coming out. And like, this gave me relevance again. Like John would not be a relevant figure in entertainment. I get he has a resume. We're all very impressed with Howard Stern show and the Tonight Show and the Pro Football Arm Wrestling Championship and the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar roast. It's all very impressive stuff. But like in the last 8 years, this is what we know John for. So to not have a moment where you look around and you're like, wow, this is not nothing. You know what I mean? And to not acknowledge that is crazy, and it gives you perspective on just how dense this guy is.
Well, I can only also imagine at his future comedy shows, he's going to start doing his act, and people are going to be like, "Read the script." Like,
or more likely, nothing's going to happen. You know what I mean? I don't think he's going to get this opportunity again.
No, he won't.
Mm-mm.
And so that's going to be. John will never say it, but that will be a regret for him, where he's like, man, I could have made this into something where every year, like this could have been a yearly thing. And I don't think it would be now.
It could have been. And, you know, I had this little mild fear of mine that at some point, I think this is extremely unlikely, but at some point, let's imagine a hypothetical world where John 10 years from now does have a redemption arc and everybody all of a sudden likes him. If that's the case, then this moment in history, him reading the script, is going to be his Andy Kaufman moment. And it's going to be looked at and revered as like a cult, happy, amazing time, because people are going to rewrite the history. Again, I'm saying we're talking he has a redemption 10 years from now, and then we're looking back at it another 20 years from now. I'm not saying that is likely.
I see what you're saying. I'll be doing a Why Are You Laughing episode where I'm like, people mocked that moment, but it turned out to actually be.
Well, now John's going to hear
funny.
She said Andy Kaufman. Now he's going to hear that and use it and be like, she gets me.
I'm Andy Kaufman.
He knew what I was doing.
Anybody who ever thought that I'm not in great shape, their mind was changed.
Lucy, confirmation.
He has toothpick arms on a marshmallow body.
I saw the girls in the crowd, like
soaked.
Dude.
Yeah, we were so wet.
Sliding off their chairs, hanging on to the chairs so they could stay on them.
It sounded like an NBA game with all that squeaking going on.
I'm surprised Tommy Jordan got up to the stage and you didn't have comical slip.
Real good. The best.
Oh, God. Were you aroused, Lucy?
Of course. I was sitting between Zen and Carl. It was very erotic.
Oh, something I forgot to ask. People were talking about how shit-faced Carl was. Is that true? John,
I have no.
I don't think we have the clip, but John and Ava were like, he threw up in the bathroom and he was hammered.
I have no recollection of that. I was a little tipsy myself, so maybe I missed something, but I do not ever remember seeing Carl be hammered at any point in the night. Well, I think I was probably drunker than he was.
His pal, Anthony Cumia. Make sure he hold his feet to the fire on this one.
Carl could have done the funniest thing and streaked in that cow outfit.
Hi, John.
Next, we have embarrassed.
Oh, well, this is certainly what it should be about. I'm sure John's going to admit it was a very embarrassing evening.
And I started reading. And Pocky was flipping out.
We heard him the whole. No, he wasn't. It's just not true. But here's what I do believe. because people often call John a liar, and I think he does tend to bend the truth at times. But in moments like this, I don't believe John is lying. I think this is how John views the world.
Yes.
I think he sees where we hear Anthony just try to get blood out of a stone, get anything going here by yelling, hey, do your act, or whatever the fuck he yells. But John looks at it in a totally different light where he's like, oh my God, it's working. Anthony's panicking that I'm reading the Danny Brand transcript.
The best way to describe narcissism would be show the set and then show this clip.
You know, I've made this mistake before. I've said, boy, I wish years ago, like when I started covering John, I said, wouldn't it be great to get John to watch these clips? Because like I think many podcasters do. Like when you hear your own voice, you're like, oh God, you cringe.
Tom Myers in the chat says Carl is a beer sipper, so anything more than a gulp would cause him to
me. Tom's not wrong. Gotta wait, Tommy.
Very funny.
You telling me Tom's not funny? Come on.
Tom's hilarious.
Yes. I lost my train of thought though. Oh well.
Did that. I already did that. Because he was so embarrassed. His pockmarks got red from embarrassment. The Duke owned you, Pocky. Stuttering John owned you. Tu eres mi pera. You are my bitch.
I've got a lot of homework assignments for Lucy when she leaves here. I'm also going to need you to confront Anthony on how he's going to do this thing where he tries to act cool like John bombed. You're going to have to ask him how much he was embarrassed by this.
All right. I won't wear my glasses, even though there's going to be a video camera between us. It'll be.
John Edward Melendez owned you in front of all your fans.
See, that's the funniest thing to admit there. It was all Anthony's fans.
Good point. I didn't sell one ticket, and I still managed to embarrass you. Yeah, I'm sure Anthony was the one who was embarrassed there. Anthony almost got arrested, and he shouldn't be the one who was embarrassed for that evening.
And I did it and kept going. And they booed and booed and booed.
Yep.
He doesn't think they were booing him.
No, he does. Well, but here, listen to his explanation here.
Oh,
kept going. And let me tell you, if you don't think that takes a pair of balls, you're out of your mind. You're out of your fucking mind.
He thinks he was very brave. He's saying that they booed, and I stood my ground.
More of a brains issue than a balls issue.
Yeah, exactly.
And I got to give credit where credit. I mean, Ava and I were talking about this on my show.
Jerking each
So
other
we were
off.
going through a bunch of scenarios.
If it were I'd be like, John, please don't give me credit for this. I don't want people. I don't want this on my resume.
I have enough things going on.
And it's Ava. So I thought this is the only way. I mean, roasting, because I was, contemplating that, and it's like this is the.
I was contemplating doing something comedic, and then I said, no. What if I put in zero effort?
Only way you're gonna win. And she was right. Thank you, Alba. And I did it on your birthday. Happy birthday, sweetie.
Oh,
Ew. Ew. Ew.
Ooh, for my birthday, John bombed in front of a full crowd.
Can I return this? Is that possible?
Happy birthday.
Oh my God. Tommy Jordan is next.
What were you going to say something, Lucy? I cut you off.
I was going to say, this whole time with Ava, a lot of people kind of questioned John and Ava's relationship. A lot of people said that Ava has just been trolling John this entire time. And I have been pretty vehemently against that. I've been pretty much like, I think Ava is sincere. After this, I don't know, because if this really was Ava's idea, Ava must have known that this was a horrible idea.
Totally. Ava doesn't have any brain damage.
Maybe I'm
Definitely not.
naive. maybe I'm naive. I watched Ava respond to this on a couple different.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm being naive here, but I think that is a person who has found a home. Like they were just looking for a team to be on, and John gave it to them, and that's where they exist. They're Team John, and I think they like. I believe that she looked at it and was like, "Oh, Anthony just got owned. Like we fucking dominate." And I think that she looks at that night, like everyone booing and saying that John sucked. She's like, "Oh, John, that's a win." And I think she believes that.
I don't know. I kind of had a different reaction to watching Ava's reaction to it. I saw it as it was challenging to tell if she was laughing at or with John. And
I used to think that.
It leaned more to me towards at him. Like I can't believe I actually got him to do this.
Right. That's interesting.
The future Mrs. Melendez is not against me.
Yeah.
I'm not taking that off the table. I still think because I used to think exactly what you're saying. Like that was my original, and just the longer it's gone on, I think some of the laughing, like the sort of manic laughing and everything, I think that's just how she is. You know what I mean? I used to think there was like meaning behind it, but I don't know that I do now.
So you and I have crossed in the opposite direction.
Yes. Yeah.
Transition, some might say. I don't know.
That's right. We're feeling differently about it now.
Yes. Training for your thoughts.
They wanted to see the squeegee bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
I made that perfectly clear, didn't I? And then I read the script until Tommy Jordan, big tough guy, again, gets on the stage and rips the script out of my hand. But it was okay. Because Alvin and I didn't think we'd get through one page. We thought it was going to be... I was expecting bottles to be thrown at me. I didn't care.
Yeah, you did.
Why did you think bottles would be thrown?
People don't like you. I don't think they want,
It's not a violent group. It doesn't seem to me anyways.
No, it's like Comic-Con adjacent.
Yeah. There's a lot of talk about physical, but it's never once happened. So Anthony, that animal.
I'd live. And he came and ripped the script out. Okay. Well, I would have been on stage longer, Tommy. You done fucked up, boy. You thought you were being a good body, a master Cumia.
No, he was helping you.
Ripping the script out of my hand.
Wait till I got to the paragraph where Ari Shaffir had to fill in for Anthony for a day on Compound Media. That would have been interesting.
I should have printed two, but it was enough.
Yes.
You should have printed two. The only possible laugh that could have come out of that was him pulling out a second set of notes.
He pulls it from his back pocket.
I'm also imagining him starting to read the advertisements at the bottom of the article, and you can get Viagra. However, it may have these side effects.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This article is brought to you by Kia.
Just because he needs more words.
It's a self-cutting girl, which was the next part, which would have really been embarrassing.
Yeah, he's never talked about it. That was that.
So I don't. The self-cut. Here's the thing. The reason I left that part in there. Self-cutting girl. I don't. Maybe he has talked about it. That I've never heard.
Well, I don't know if he's talked about it on the show, but I know that shit was at least discussed on socials at some point with a back.
Oh, for sure. People have talked about it for sure. But that at least would have been something where it's like, okay, Anthony hasn't talked that to death a decade ago. You know what I mean? That would at least be something where maybe John would be making Anthony. Again, I don't know because John didn't try it. But it's if you want to make him uncomfortable, maybe do something that we don't know what his reaction would be. Evidently, Sue Lightning gets him riled.
What you're saying, Mike, is that you are mad that Tommy Jordan tore up the script.
Damn it, I am. Yeah, I didn't realize it. Shit.
Brought to you by Outback Steakhouse.
Yahoo News is your source for the latest on
for 10-year-old news.
Biggest supporter.
Well, I think we already know this. Hi, John. Who do you think his biggest supporter was?
John.
Handle me with care. So, script gone. Grabbed my beer. Said, "Skull!" The whole place, they said skull.
Oh my God.
They sure did.
Because they love the Duke.
Minnesota Vikings.
They won't admit it. But, while I was walking to the stage to go on, guess who kept patting me on the back?
I know. Hi, John.
Guess who kept touching my ass?
Oh, John, you've got a little schmutz here. He wipes his face.
Gross. He's licking his fingers off.
Carl fixing his collar before he goes on would have been hilarious.
John, have you been feeling his bicep? Have you been working out, John?
Guess who it was?
Who?
Lady K.
Of course.
Lady K was like such a fan of mine in person.
See, this is when I think he knows what he's doing.
John, remember when you asked Ringo Starr the thing about the money? That was so funny, John. I really like that.
But seriously, give me my water thing back.
Lucy, shame on you for not filming Carl as he's gushing over this man.
It was my mistake. I was too excited. I was in my seat getting wet.
Also excited. That's right. Yeah. I forgot how excited everyone was. I guess I can't blame anyone for
Lucy was on the floor. She couldn't stay seated.
Yeah.
By the way, we heard the audio, and in John's mind, people are collapsing. Oh my God. There he is. The Duke.
I had the vapors. It was very, very exciting.
He does in his paneled walls of his basement in Rochester? Bullshit. Because when he got to meet me, when he got to be in the presence of the Duke, he super fanned out.
It is. I never put it together until right now. I can't believe I never said this. It's weird that Carl he sends me like the link for the shows we do together, and it always ends with Carl Melendez with a heart around it. And I never understood that until this moment.
There is a reason you got a house so close to him.
Hi, John. Waving from his yard.
He just always.
You want some lemonade?
Carl's just raking his lawn just for help.
I could really use some help out here. It's a little hot.
You got any of that lemonade? He's wearing a beater and he turns it inside out so it looks like a bathing suit top.
So while I was walking the stage, he's patting me on the back. Go get him. And that's Fact Jack.
But that's perfect example of everyone just being hopeful that you just don't do what you did.
Well, in Carl's case, he was rock hard, saying, "Hey, it gets awfully hot in Florida. You ever want to come by for a swim?"
I was walking to the stage and I actually tripped on Carl's dick.
No, you're right. You're right. Well, if we can end the bit for a second, what it really is Carl being like, "Hey, you're suing me," and still, I think it'd be fucking awesome if you had a great show. You know what I mean? And like I said, I'll be listening to who are these, because I'd like to hear Carl's side of whatever this interaction was, because I'm sure it was like, if it happened, it was, "Hey, water under the bridge, John," which is crazy. That's too magnanimous. If Carl really was like, "Hey, buddy, go out there and break a leg," you know?
I'll break down the fourth wall. It was Carl going, "You can't live up to this moment."
You know what? You may have hit the nail on the head. Yeah.
Lady K, you could rewrite this any way you want. I know. And unlike what Peter Strickland, believe me, I was as sober as any man can be. And then when I did my cheers, I said, "Skull."
It was more like Richard Nixon than anything else. I'm not a crook.
Tear rolls down his cheek. He gets on his helicopter.
Yeah.
Also, I was as sober as any man can be. As sober as any man can be is not actively drinking, and he admits to drinking.
He literally says, "I was as sober as any man could be." And then I picked up my beer.
I yelled skull. Big Win is next.
I mean, hey,
this is the last of these clips.
Yeah, it was a big victory. So John deserves one more lap around to celebrate.
And while I was walking out, Kiana was there, and she said, "I love you."
When I was walking out, Keanu said, "I just left Gino."
I'm walking out, and Keanu says, "You're much more well-endowed and talented than my husband."
She said, I was walking out, and Keanu said, "Watch this." And she threw her panties at the window, and they stuck.
She said, "John, if you think it was just the women in the audience that were soaked, you'd be wrong."
I was in awe. That's why I couldn't talk in the green room.
Keanu, by the way, just a complete throwaway, unnecessary detail to this story. I leave. Keanu says, "I love you," gives me a kiss, and then I walk out.
She touched my dick.
She loved me more than Carl did.
That's impossible.
That is not possible.
This is exactly what, but I mean, this is his punchline always right now, is everything is about Keanu. I think he did this whole show. I think he did this whole bit just for Keanu.
It's so obvious.
I like the image of Carl and Keanu getting a little slap fight for John. No, he's mine.
Next
Is that why they always have so much contention between each other?
Yeah,
they're fighting over their man.
Yeah.
Dana White's going to solve this with power slap. Carl versus Keanu.
Because as much as she's friends with Pocky, you can't deny that was courageous.
Yeah. It was.
And that was unexpected. And I'm the only one who could do it because nobody has the balls.
I could have bombed that hard.
I could do that. I'm sorry. I should have corrected myself. I'd be very nervous to do it. I could do that.
Because as much as that crowd wanted to hate me, they couldn't. They couldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, they literally did. They wanted to like you, actually, but they couldn't.
They were trying their hardest to like him. And that's the thing is, like, say what you want about what Tommy Jordan did. I do think, like, I shouldn't be speaking on what Tommy's mindset was, but the way I look at it was, he's like, "Hey, do something. We want to fucking root for you. Do something else." You know what I mean? It was almost a suggestion to be like, "Now do your act. That's what we want to see." Like, I don't know that it was from a place of hate. Maybe Tommy just wanted attention, but like, it doesn't seem like it was from a place of hate. Like, hey, you're what you're doing is too dangerous, and we can't handle it. I don't think that's what it was. But
yeah, like what Tommy Jordan did, or dislike what Tommy Jordan did, he did something, and that was more than what John was doing.
Yes, perfect way to say it.
I went to Kinko's and got my whole night printed.
Anything you think we missed that we haven't touched on about this evening, Lucy, or does that about sum it up?
I mean, there was so much. I think one of the other big things that just is funny, and you got to hear John talk about it if you listened to any of those Doom or Stalin 19 clips, is that the Rodney Dangerfield impersonator did take a tumble down the stairs. I think another thing that's just kind of been getting brushed over is that Mammy and Vince the lawyer were there, and I don't know about those interactions, but I know there's been a lot of rumors going on and a lot of excitement relating to them. So this really was one of those events where there was just too much to ever cover. I can't believe that things kept happening in the rapid fire pace that they were happening. I would turn and look to my left and something would be happening. I would turn and look to my right and something different would be happening. And it was every single moment at the show like that.
Yeah.
If the Dangerfield impersonator fell and didn't say, "Even in my own club, I get no respect," he should quit. Go to blindmike.net for everything blind Mike. Look at me. I did it. Kragers did it.